Today I'm going to look at something that it's recorded that Yeshua mentioned a couple of times, once in Matthew 12, once in Luke 6, both referring to something slightly different from the others, but this concept, the abundance of the heart as it's often translated, is interesting for us to consider. In Matthew 12, he says, "Brood of adders, how are you able to speak what is good, being wicked? For the mouth speaks," he's not asking how they're able to, he's saying you are not able to. "For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart," or the abundance of the heart. "The good man brings forth what is good from the good treasures of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked from the wicked treasure." And the word overflow or abundance is perisuma. We see it here, abundance in which one delights, of that which fills the heart, of that which is left over. The residual remains is another possible translation. But basically what it's saying is what your heart delights in, what you find pleasing. So you will bring forth what you find pleasing from your heart in the things that you say. If you find evil pleasing, if that's what your heart truly delights in, that's what you will speak. If your heart truly delights in his Torah, you will bring forth good that comes from meditating on his teaching and direction. So he says the mouth speaks essentially from what the heart delights in. The good man brings forth what is good from the good treasures of his heart. And the people that the Lord is looking for are people who have his word in his heart. Psalm 37 says, "The mouth of the righteous speaks wisdom, and his tongue talks of mishpat," justice. So if the mouth speaks what the heart truly delights in, we can see that in this verse, that the righteous speaks wisdom, his tongue speaks of mishpat, i.e. that is what he delights in. The Torah of Elohim is in his heart, his steps do not slide. Psalm 40 verse 8 says, "I have delighted to do your pleasure, O my Elohim, and your Torah is within my heart." So what King David is showing us here indirectly is that he speaks the Torah, or the Torah, the Hebrew word, of Elohim. That's what's within his heart. That's what he delights in. In Deuteronomy 30:11-14 it says, "For this command which I am commanding you today, it is not too hard for you, nor is it far off. It is not in the heavens to say, who shall ascend into the heavens for us and bring it to us, and cause us to hear it so that we do it. Nor is it beyond the sea to say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it to us and cause us to hear it so that we do it. For the word is very near you, in your mouth and in your heart, to do it." Of course, if the word is in your heart, if you truly delight in the word, if you cherish the word and every aspect of the word, if you learn something new and you think it's going to restrict you in some way, that you don't despair about that rather you delight that you have learnt more of the word. That is what it is to have the word as the abundance of the heart, as the overflow of the heart. Of course, Paul quotes Deuteronomy 30, and he calls it the word of faith which he preaches. Says Moshe writes about the righteousness which is of the Torah, and he says that the man who does these shall live by them. The righteousness of believers speaks in this way, and then he quotes from Deuteronomy 30. But what does it say? The word is near you, in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of belief which we are proclaiming. So Paul isn't here saying that the righteousness which comes from the Torah is different from that of faith. He is saying what Moshe said is the word of faith that we preach. Of course, if the word is in your heart and if you delight in it and you do it, then that is the definition of faith. Believing the word, believing the one who said that these things were righteous and just. That is, if you like, the cornerstone of our faith, that we believe the things that Yehovah said, and that our heart delights in them, and if it does, then we will do those things. If you learn something about Torah and you think, oh, I'm not quite sure about that, you have to bring yourself into submission and say, no, I believe these things, and I'm not going to look for a reason why these things don't apply anymore, because they are good. They came from the Father initially, and they are good. We don't seek to put our own understanding above His. We just seek to learn from Him, and we cherish and delight in the things that He says. Psalm 119 verse 34 says, make me understand that I might observe your Torah and cherish it with all my heart. David here asking Yehovah to make him understand. So understanding comes from Yehovah, at least in part. We have to apply ourselves to it. In Proverbs 2 it says, my son, if you accept my words and treasure up my commands with you, so that you make your ear attend to wisdom and incline your heart to understanding. If you cry for discernment, lift up your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures, then you would understand the fear of Yehovah and find the knowledge of Elohim. So we cry out for understanding. We wish to have it, and Yehovah is happy to provide it. So when David says, make me understand, of course David has a role to play in that. It's not just understanding which is bestowed upon David. In Proverbs 3:1-3 it says, my son, do not forget my Torah, and let your heart watch over my commands. For length of days and long life and shalom they are to you. Let not kindness and truth forsake you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablets, or the tablet of your heart. So What we write on our heart is that in which we delight. The idea of writing things, having something written on your forehead, we might say, why don't you just get it tattooed on your forehead? It's something that is obvious to people. That's what it is to have the mark of the beast on your forehead. It's to obviously have the mark of the beast. That's what it is to have the Father's name written on your forehead or on your frontlets. It's something which is obvious to everyone. That it's like you declaring your position, if you like. Matthew 13 verse 19 says, when anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches away what was sown in his heart. This is that sown by the wayside. So the word of the kingdom, either we delight in it and we foster it and we write it on our hearts and ultimately write it on our foreheads, or if we do not understand it, if we do not cherish it, we do not value it, then the wicked one, Satan, will snatch the word away from our heart, and it will not take root in our heart and become our delight. Proverbs 23 says, my son, give me your heart, and let your eyes watch my ways. So again, we can ask for understanding. He can give us understanding, but if we do not cherish it, then it is ultimately snatched away. We have to give our hearts to Yehovah. Psalm 119 says, I've treasured up your word in my heart, that I might not sin against you. And alternately, in Jeremiah we read, the sin of Yehudah is written with a pen of iron, engraved with a point of diamond on the tablet of their heart. That is what they delight in. That is the abundance of the heart, by which the mouth speaks. Either you delight in what is good, or you delight in what is evil. Proverbs 7 says, my son, cherish my words and treasure up my commands with you. Cherish my commands and live, and my Torah is the apple of your eye. Bind them on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. That is what it is to cry out for wisdom and discernment, because you value it, and then when you find it, you write it on the tablet of your heart, because that is what you delight in, and then that is what you bring forth naturally. We know, of course, not everyone is attracted to the light. Some people, because their deeds were evil, because the things that their heart delights in were evil, do not write those things on their heart. They do not cherish them. They do not value them. Deuteronomy 6 says, and these words which I am commanding you today have been in your heart, and you have impressed them upon your children, have spoken of them, because they're in your heart. When you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down and when you rise up, and have bound them as a sign on your hand, and they have been as frontlets between your eyes, to have it written on your forehead, to stake your claim as a believer in the word. Now, don't fall into the trap of thinking that because you speak of the word, that the bits of the word that you don't do are not relevant. If you don't do some of the word, then that is sin. You are a servant of sin. That's what you've got written on your forehead. That's what you've got inscribed on your heart. If you had the word, you might like certain parts of the word, but if you are picking and choosing which bits of the word you will do or not do, then that is not to have the word in your heart. That's to have your own preferences in your heart. They're the things that you delight in. In Isaiah 51 verse 7, it says, "Listen to me, you who know righteousness, a people in whose heart is my Torah." So those who know righteousness have the Torah in their heart. And as we've seen, these are the people who speak wisdom, who speak life, who speak understanding. Ephesians 3:14-17 says, "For this reason I bow my knees to the Father of our Master Yeshua Messiah, from whom all fatherhood in the heavens and earth is named, in order that he might give you, according to the riches of his esteem or glory, by power to be strengthened in the inner man," that's your spirit, "through his Spirit, that the Messiah might dwell in your hearts." That's another way of saying the same thing. The Messiah is the Word made flesh. The Messiah might dwell in your hearts through belief, having become rooted and grounded in love. So his Spirit, his Word, the Messiah, they are all one. They dwell in our hearts. And if that is what our hearts truly delight in, that is what we will bring forth when we speak. Bringing forth things that you like, bringing forth your preferences is different. You can speak of the Messiah because you love him in a certain way, in a certain context, but that's not what the word is talking about. So don't fool yourself, and don't be fooled by other people who speak of the Messiah and speak of this great love that they have. The way that you can know if someone really cherishes the word is by their actions, by their fruit. Are they entirely given over to the word, or do they start saying that certain parts of the word aren't true anymore or don't apply anymore? They start giving excuses for why they don't do part of the word. Again, that's not to have the word be the abundance or overflow of your heart. That is to have your own conception of who Yahuwah is or who God is as the abundance of your heart, and they are the things that you speak. Yahuwah willing, I'll see you next week.